Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast with Kyra Howearth. Hi, I'm Kyra, business astrologer, moon manifesting mama, author, teacher, and mentor. I teach you how to harness the energy of the moon, stars, and cosmos so you can manifest your dreams and discover a deeper purpose to your life. Hey there, welcome back to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. It's Kyra Howearth. Hello. So today I'm doing a bit of a mid-year check-in, a bit of a goal review, and I thought that you guys would like to join me for this too. So in this episode, I'm going to be guiding you through maybe checking in with your own goals, what to do if you maybe didn't even set goals at the start of the year, that sort of thing. I'm going to be sharing where I'm at with my goals, and I'm also going to be having a look at the astro weather for the rest of the year, for the rest of 2023, seeing what's happening with the stars so that you can align your energy and you know what to focus on for the rest of the year. Because working with the stars, it just makes everything so much easier. Just trust me. I know. It just makes life so much easier when you're working with the cosmic energy rather than against it. Don't try to sign contracts and do lots of paperwork and all that sort of stuff when Mercury's in retrograde, right? Okay, so let's start off with a goal check-in. Where are you at with your goals? I would love to know. Even if you want to send me a message on Insta or whatever, let me know how you're going with your goals so far this year. I always love hearing what you've manifested, maybe what you're working towards manifesting for the rest of the year. I would love to know. Check in with me. So what I do when I do my own goal review, which I've just done recently, which prompted me to sit down here and record this podcast today, I looked at the goals that I set for myself at the start of the year. So I use my moon manifesting planner for this, but you may have your goals written down anywhere else. You do what works best for you. Or you may not have even written your goals down, maybe you just have these goals in your head. That's cool too. I do recommend writing your goals down though, because that way you've got it really concrete and it's the goal isn't always changing in your head. I know sometimes I might set a goal for myself and it might be a number thing. It might be a certain number of people I want signed up to something, or it might be a certain income level I want to reach. And if I don't write that actual number down, that number can fluctuate in my head and I'll be oh no, actually that number is this. Oh no, that number is actually higher than that. Write it down. Just write it down. That way you've just got it written down and you don't forget as well. Sometimes you make these goals and then you forget. Okay? Write these things down. Writing things down helps so much. Okay, so check in with your goals. And see where you're at. So what I do when I set my goals is I look at setting goals in all different areas of my life. So when I'm checking in with those goals, I want to be checking in and saying okay, my money goals, my travel goals, my creativity goals, my homeschool goals even. I really need to actually do that as well. I forgot. But there's so many different areas of our lives. It's not just one thing. Looking at those goals that you may have set for yourself in all those different areas that are applicable to you. You may have career goals, you may have family goals, relationship goals, you may have whatever sort of goals it is. So checking in with your goals. And if you didn't set goals at the start of the year, this is a really good time to just set those goals. So do that now. And then what I like to do is I like to consider if I'm on track for those goals I set for myself at the start of the year. Am I actually making progress towards these goals? Am I going to reach this goal by the end of the year? Do I need to course correct? Have I got distracted by shiny objects? Yes, that's me. Are there things that have maybe derailed you from those goals you set? Do you need to adjust your goals? This is what a review is, right? We're doing a mid-year goal review right now. So we're checking in, we're making adjustments, course correcting maybe, getting back on track, so that we can finish off the year by actually hitting our goals. Leonie Dawson, who was a guest on the podcast a little while back, but she's the goal-setting queen. And something that I remember her saying is that the people who actually reach their goals are not the people who set their goals. It's not the people who write their goals down once and then forget about them. It's the people who write down their goals and they keep checking in with those goals. So keep checking back in with your goals, because honestly, what I do is I don't just do a mid-year review. I check back in with those goals I set at the start of the year quite regularly. Maybe once a month when I'm setting my goals at the start of the month, I might check in and feel like, working on one of those bigger yearly goals that I set for myself. Or I might use that as an opportunity to be like, okay, what were the things I was actually going to work on this year, rather than just coming up with new things. So like for an example here, like one of my biggest goals for this year is to finish off the house renos in the house I'm living and sell this house. And so when I sat down to do my mid-year review, I was like, I really called myself out on it, because I was like, I'm so not where I wanted to be by this time of the year. So I've just set more goals for myself. I've made a plan of action for how I can actually reach that goal by the end of the year, which is really exciting. Like if you have gone way off track with your goals, if you set a big goal for yourself and you're nowhere near it, what can you do in the next 6 months that's going to bring you closer to that goal? Like even if you don't maybe reach that goal, you can still do things that are going to get you closer to that goal. Especially if we're talking about long-term goals, like those big goals that aren't just things that happen overnight. You need to be working on them a little bit by a little bit quite regularly so that you can reach those goals. So that's why mid-year review is always good, because it allows you to check in with those bigger goals that you have for yourself. Let's have a bit of a chat about where I'm at, because I want to share some really exciting things. I should have actually brought my list of goals out here with me, because I have a few on my notes, but I'm sure there was other things that I wanted to talk about. But I've manifested a few big things already this year that were actually specific things I had on my goals list. So number one was that I really wanted to go to Crystal Castle. Crystal Castle, if you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful place near Byron Bay in Australia, and it has some of the most amazing crystals that you will never see anywhere else in the world. I'm talking about amethyst cluster towers that are like, I can't remember how tall they were, like maybe 6 meters tall. Like I was standing there and, they were like probably 3 times the size of me. Massive. And like a huge amethyst cave where you could literally sit in there. It was just incredible. So anyway, that was on my goal list. That's actually been on my bucket list for a while now. But this year I was like, right, this is the year we're going to go. And so we went to Crystal Castle. My husband took me there for my birthday. So yes, goal achieved. I'm so excited that I've now done that and experienced that for myself. Another thing that I was working on this year was, after launching a tarot deck last year, I wanted to make an oracle deck this year. So I've made myself an oracle deck, which, go me, yay. I got kind of stuck on it for a while. I had it all made and everything. And I just kind of had it sitting there, and eventually I just kind of pushed myself, and I'm like, right, I'm just going to publish this, just going to get it out there. And I did. Sometimes, we get stuck. We do the work and then we might get stuck at a step that stops us from bringing that project to completion. Maybe you're stuck at a goal as well. Use this mid-year review as an opportunity to just push yourself to just bring it through to completion. So the other really big goal, which, guys, this is hold on to your seats, because this is massively exciting. So a few years ago, I'm going to say probably even about 3 years ago, I had a vision board, and I had 2 cars on my vision board. And I wonder if I've even spoken about this in one of the earlier episodes of my podcast, which maybe makes me think it was about 2 years ago that this happened. Anyway, I had a vision board. I had 2 cars. One's a purple Lamborghini. Haven't manifested that. The other one is a black Tesla, and I have manifested that. It is literally being delivered this week, and I'm so excited. It was surprisingly hard to manifest this car. So many obstacles, but it has happened. So I am celebrating that. I am yes, go me, celebrating that I've achieved my long-term goals. And so when you like do your mid-year goal review, if you look back and it's like, yes, I've achieved that goal, like, you do a big tick next to it or whatever it is that you do, like celebrate that. Yes, go you did it. Yes. Yeah, like it's good to celebrate yourself when you achieve a goal. So yeah, like don't be surprised if like my entire Instagram feed just becomes like me driving around my Tesla, because that's just me celebrating like, yes, I got my dream car. So yeah, with my review, I realized I kind of need to get moving with my other big goal for the year, which is the house renovations. So that was kind of a big kick up the butt, like, come on, Kyra, you can do this. So yeah, if if you're wondering where I am, I'll either be driving my Tesla around, or I'll just be like painting the house. So anyways, that's where I'm at. My mid-year review this year was really quite fun because I realized just how much I've up-leveled. Every year that I set goals, it's kind of like I raise the stake a bit higher. It's like, what can I do this year that's even better than last year? And it's just amazing. If I hadn't have discovered moon manifesting and intention setting and started regularly setting these goals for myself like 8 or so years ago now, I would not be here. I would not be here with a Tesla. I would not be here in this house that we bought. Yeah, there's so much that can happen once you start working with the moon and setting those goals for yourself, and then using the moon cycle to push you through the manifestation process. And if you're wondering more about that, well, there's this whole podcast here that's all about moon manifesting. I talk about manifestation a lot. So you go check out some other episodes for more manifestation tips. But anyways, what's happening astrologically? This is what I'm going to be talking about for the next half of the episode. But first, we're just going to have a little ad break. So I'll be back right after the break. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by Website Witchery, magical websites for soulpreneurs. Find out more at websitewitchery.com. Okay, so I'm back. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the astro weather. What is coming up for the rest of 2023? How to work with this astrological energy to help you manifest your goals. I actually haven't even written out notes for this section at all, because I actually really hate doing these sorts of astro update episodes because I just feel like I'm just reading out all this stuff, like this is happening on this date. So it's going to be a bit different today. I literally just have my almanac here, my honeycomb almanac, which I recommend this for all astrologers, even if you're just learning about astrology. This is an amazing tool to have. It is all customized to your natal chart, but it also has all the collective transits as well, which is why I'm using it today, to just kind of flip through and talk a bit about what the astro weather is that's coming up. There are a few significant things that are coming up, and the most significant thing that is coming up really soon on the 18th of July is the new moon in Cancer. But that's exciting. Set your intentions, set your goals. But the other thing that's happening on the 18th of July, at the same time or around the same time as the new moon, is that the nodes are shifting. So you may have heard me talk before about the nodes. We have the north node of future destiny and the south node of past karma. And the nodes, they have a lot to do with the eclipses as well. The reason why not every new and full moon is an eclipse is because they're not aligning with the nodes, right? With this nodal axis. So for the past year and a half, the nodes have been hanging out in Taurus and Scorpio. The north node has been in Taurus. And the north node energy is all about where we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. It's where we're supposed to be heading towards. It's the energy that we're kind of supposed to be going, even though it's challenging, but it's the right path, right? Whereas the south node of past karma, that is the past that we need to leave behind. It's our comfort zone, but we don't really want to be hanging out in our comfort zone, right? So the South Node has been hanging out in Scorpio. The North Node has been hanging out in Taurus. What else has been happening in Taurus over this past short while is that we've also had Jupiter enter Taurus this year. Recently, Taurus met up with the North Node in Taurus in the first few degrees there. We've also got Uranus in Taurus, where the North Node has been hanging out as well. So we've had a lot of Taurus energy happening for us lately, and there's been this real push towards slowing down, towards self-care and nourishing and looking after our physical bodies, as well as manifesting physical, tangible things. I think there's been a lot of people who have been more interested in raising their prices and improving their money mindset and all that sort of thing, with all this Taurus energy that's been happening and been pushing us towards that sort of energy. So what's happening on the 18th of July is that the nodes, they actually move kind of backwards, like in an anti-clockwise direction. So the North Node is moving into Aries and the South Node is moving into Libra. So what this means, and the nodes spend about 18 months in each sign before they continue to move through. So what this means is that for the next 18 months, we're really going to be pushing ourselves to be more active, to take initiative, to start things. All this Aries energy. It's going to be about doing things for ourselves rather than others. Libra energy, where the South Node is going to be hanging out, that's where, we give to others, we support others, and we can be quite selfless, where, we're always giving. Whereas the Aries energy is the opposite, being like on the opposite end of the axis, right? The Aries energy can be quite selfish. It's all about me, what I want, who I am, what I'm going to do, all about me and I. So this is actually, quite a good thing, because I feel people are going to be standing up for themselves, and it's really going to help us become more aware of our own identities and who we are, and taking care of ourselves rather than feeling like we always have to give to everyone else. We can start to reclaim some of our power and bring that back to ourselves. So that's probably, one of the bigger things that is happening this month in July that's, just coming up just around the corner. So a few days after the nodes shift into the Libra and Aries axis, we're going to have another kind of rarish astrological event, and that is Venus going into retrograde. So Venus goes into retrograde only about once every 18 months, I think, off the top of my head. It's not a very common thing. Like Mercury goes into retrograde 3 or 4 times a year, so that's quite common. Venus retrograde is not so common. And so because Venus goes into retrograde, at different times and that sort of thing, Mercury retrograde is much shorter, whereas Venus retrograde, it actually lasts for quite some time. Venus is going to be in retrograde from the 25th of July all the way through to, I think it's the 5th of September. Let me double check this. The 4th of September, actually, that is. But still, quite a significant time. That's about 6 weeks. So what happens when Venus is in retrograde? And Venus is going to be in retrograde in Leo from 28 degrees Leo all the way through to about 12 degrees Leo. So first up, you may like to even just check your natal chart and see, do you have any planets in Leo in those degrees, between 12 degrees to 28 degrees? If so, then that's going to be mostly affected by this Venus retrograde. But otherwise you can check other things of your chart that may be affected. Maybe you have things in Aquarius, that will be as an opposition to this Venus retrograde, or anything else like that. Have a look at your own chart, see what's coming up. But on a general level, Venus retrograde is all about our love life and our relationships. So when Venus is in retrograde, it's not a good time for starting new relationships. You may even find that exes come back from your past, and it's not a good time to get back with your ex. Don't do it. Don't text your ex, guys. Bad advice. Don't do it. But yeah, when Venus is in retrograde. Not only can we have like exes come back into our life, but also we may have like relationship difficulties. Like you may have conflicts within the relationships, or just things just aren't as clear within relationships. And maybe not just like necessarily romantic relationships, but other relationships that you have with other people that you care about. Venus also rules money, as well as things like our desires and our goals. So things may take a bit of a backwards turn during Venus retrograde in terms of your finances and your goals and your values and desires. You just may not be as clear during this time. You may have a bit of trouble like actually manifesting the cash into your hands. It's just Venus retrograde. It will pass. So just be careful with things like money, especially because Venus is going to be retrograde in Leo. Venus in Leo likes to spend big. They may like to gamble. They may like to spend money on extravagant things that, may seem like a really cool idea at the time, but it's really just a waste of money. So just be careful with your money during Venus retrograde. Maybe hold on to your money. Think twice before splurging on some extravagant thing that looks really cool and has all the bells and whistles, but maybe isn't actually a great investment. Venus retrograde is coming up. Shortly after Venus goes into retrograde, well, about a month after Venus goes into retrograde, on the 24th of August, Mercury will go into retrograde as well. So we'll have both Mercury and Venus in retrograde at the same time for a while. So Mercury goes into retrograde on the 24th of August. Venus comes out of retrograde about 2 weeks later on the 5th of September. Mercury retrograde will end a bit later in September. Let me find the exact date for you now, my almanac. How handy are almanacs? Seriously, best thing ever. Mercury retrograde will end on the 16th of September. So Mercury retrograde, the Mercury retrograde that's happening now will be happening in Virgo. From 21 degrees Virgo through to 8 degrees Virgo. So you may want to have a look on your chart to see what's going to be affected by Mercury retrograde as well, to see what planets may be hanging out between 8 to 21 degrees Virgo. There's going to be that those 2-ish weeks there when both Mercury and Venus are in retrograde. So that can affect things like your communication, as well as all those things that I said specifically for Venus retrograde, like relationships and money. Mercury controls things like communication and travel and that sort of thing, like legal paperwork as well. Like be careful, don't sign any contracts during that time. Just be really careful, like to cross all your T's and dot all your I's is what it comes down to. Like just being extra careful during that time because communication may not be clear. You may end up wasting money. You may hurt people's feelings too, like Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde. You may say something you don't mean. Okay, so I think those were kind of like the main things I wanted to chat about with this astro weather that's coming up. We do have some eclipses coming up in October. We have an annular solar eclipse happening on the 15th of October, and that's of course going to be in Libra. Like I said before, the axes are shifting. So from now on, we should be seeing a lot of the eclipses happening over the next 18 months in either Libra or Aries, but not all of them. So actually 2 weeks after the solar eclipse in Libra, we are having a partial lunar eclipse, but that's actually happening in Taurus. So that's also why it's only a partial lunar eclipse, because it's not directly aligning with the nodes, but it's still close enough that it's causing that partial eclipse. So that's kind of exciting. Eclipses are amazing manifestation portals. So make sure that you do note those ones down in your diary. Like if you sometimes don't remember to set your goals on the new moon and that sort of thing. Make sure you're doing that on the eclipse on the 15th of October, on that solar eclipse, because solar eclipses are accompanied by a new moon, right? They happen on the new moon. So that's going to be a really, really powerful time for setting intentions, especially for the 18 months ahead, working with that Libra and Aries nodal axis, thinking about what you want to shift in your life with that axis, and thinking about like those Aries Libra themes of being less selfless and being more selfish in a good way, in a self-loving way. So yeah, that is pretty much what is going on. I'm just checking in my almanac. What else is happening? Nothing else too significantly. We're going to have another Mercury retrograde in December, but we don't need to worry about that right now. But just maybe if you're planning to travel around Christmas time, that could be something that may affect you with this Mercury retrograde that's going to be happening there in December. They're starting on the 13th of December, and that should be ending, if I do the maths, it'll be early January. It'll be the 2nd of January that Mercury retrograde will end. And that is happening through Capricorn through to Sagittarius. So yeah, if you're traveling around that time, maybe just allowing extra time for travel. If you're traveling for the holidays or whatever, just allowing that extra bit of time. Especially if you got to catch flights or whatever, maybe getting some insurance, some travel insurance there, just to cover all your bases in case things go wrong, as they often do during Mercury retrograde. Okay, so that's pretty much what's coming up for the rest of 2023. Oops. So I hope that helps you understand the energies of what's going on, how you can align with those energies. And yeah, maybe that helps you understand what goals you need to be focusing on or not focusing on. Like if one of your goals is to get into a relationship, don't try and do that during Venus retrograde, because that won't, that's not a good time. But yeah, you do you. Like, even though these things happen in the stars, if things happen, they happen to us for a reason anyway. So yeah, it's all good. Whether it's Mercury retrograde or Venus retrograde or whatever, it's all meant to be. Alrighty, don't forget, I'd love to know, how you're going with your goals for the year. If you want to send me a message, let me know what you've manifested this year so far. I would love to cheer you on. I'd love to give you some support for your goals for the rest of your year. Send me a message. I would love to know what's happening in your world, what you've manifested and what you're still working on manifesting. Stay tuned, stay manifesting, and I will speak with you really soon. See you all next time on the Moon Manifesting Podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. If you're wanting more moon magic, check out my book, Moon Manifesting. Download your free Moon Manifesting calendar or connect with me on social media. You can do all of that at kyrahowearth.com.au. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you in the next episode.